watchers, runners, and gods of the time stream. Look to your left to see two tabaxis fighting. Look to your left, right to see some very suspicious guard activity. Grab a chair, conjure a table, and join us to talk about all things the Dungeon Run. Today I'm really, really excited. We are talking about episode 95. I'm very excited to dive into it, and I'm excited to introduce today's council. It's been a long day. Let's just get into it. Today's council, joining me on today's council is the one, the only, the amazing Gorbinplade. Thank you as always, Kurt, for being one of my right-hand men. I'm excited to have two new watchers that have never been on the watch party today join us. One being the very insightful Team Force of Good, Chafreakis, aka Sarah.
Hello.
I'm happy you're here too. And hopefully his internet is stable enough to join us with all the storms going on around there. But also joining us for the first time is also the very wonderfully opinionated and awesomely astute Captain Crunch, aka Chris. Is he there? Can you hear us?
Oh, it's a cute cat.
You do have a cute cat.
That's wonderful.
It's a wonderful cat. Chris, are you there? Chris, you are the worst.
Oh.
He's the worst.
Missed it that much.
Yeah, I know. But he did have a cute cat, though.
Very.
And now, a word from Captain Crunch. Well, unfortunately we are losing power now, so I highly doubt I will make it back. But I will extend to you my rating of 7 scissor fights out of 10. And naturally I will oppose Failwaffle's opinions from the darkness of my home.
So episode 95 was wonderful. The episode starts right after the events of successfully acquiring Whitebeard's goods from his bank. This was I will say, as far as rating goes, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was really solid. It had, let's just say right off the bat, that Civ was an MVP. There was a lot of movement. The pacing was really good. They got a lot done this episode. It was solid. It was wonderful. There were definitely parts where I was at the edge of my seat. And the only thing that prevents this from being a super, super, super high episode for me is imagine this amazing episode and then like a tiny sheet layer of a little bit more risk, a little bit more attention to the environment and the chaoticness that's supposed to be going on in Turles. I think that would have, with everything that they accomplished and everything that they did, with just a tiny bit more risk of their surroundings, I think would have made this a really, really, really even a solid 9 episode. But that layer wasn't really there for me, and we'll dive into that. But it was so good. I give this episode a solid 7.5. 7.5 balls out of 10. You wanna give a rating a shot, Kurt?
I mean, we talked about this offline a little bit. I'm right there with you on just basically everything. I could probably do the math, but just my gut is saying it was probably 60% Civ episode, because Civ was, I mean, and rightfully so, because you got to go sneaky when you might get caught for doing stuff, and so and then just the RP was amazing. Jared was bringing it, and I loved that. And yeah, I mean, for me, there needed to be an element of peril, just in the fact of being in Turles and not being able to do magic, quote unquote. So there's. I think it's 7.5 for me as well. Yeah.
And Sarah, again, no pressure with the rating, but just in general, overall thoughts of this episode.
Let's see. I don't think I could give it a number rating, but definitely gave me all the feels. Lots of feels.
If you can put feels on a scale of between 1 and 10.
Just lots of feels. Got a lot of shivers, a lot of chills. Every interaction with the thieves that Civ had was just like fantastic. And yeah, I just really loved it, and it was really fun.
Yes.
It's had its moments, but very much
Yeah.
enjoyed it.
And I'll piggyback off of that, because if anybody knows me by now, I'm very much I'm a feeler. Like, I watch and I love the show from a very feel perspective. And I think you're right. This episode had suspense, it had sadness, it had intensity, it had rush of thrills. It even had some funny jokes. I mean, it had a little bit of everything in a good way. And it was again, the pacing was wonderful. And I know we've struggled with the pacing here and there lately, but this was just on it, and it was wonderful. And let's just dive into the MVP Civ, but specifically the thieves' interactions first. I thought there were so many layers to what was going on in these interactions, and I've been very excited to dive into it with you guys. I also love how Civ was just one right in his element. He didn't rely on magic. In fact, I think he even refused the second time to do the seeming spell, because he wanted to either have the guard uniform or the beggar look. He was trying to fit in with the other thieves, and that was wonderful. He was, even when he was talking to the thieves right off the bat, he was so sure of himself. He was so in charge. He was ready to take those thieves out, but he was trying really hard to negotiate with them. And I think that says a lot. But before I just blabble, I do want to hear, Sarah, I want to hear your thoughts first.
No, I really agree with you. Like, in all of those moments with the thieves, it felt like he was using every moment of like his backstory experience of like being Civ and Oldspotch, like being just himself, and knowing like these are what these characters would do in this situation and how I would connect with them. And I think just really seeing him utilize like his skills as an individual character and not just his role in the party, being on his own, was really special and fun, I think. Really love seeing kind of Civ go off on his own. It's pretty fun. Yeah.
There is something about a chemistry between Jeff and Jared that is just, it literally, I think it's just still, it's a 9 out of 10 performance every time, like steadily. Like, there's just so much there. And there's so many different little aspects I want to dive into. One, overall arching, Civ/Jared does such a good job at putting almost like his heart in every freaking performance that it's just like, I'm there. It's so real, it's raw, it's organic. You don't necessarily have to agree with his choices, but he does a good job at always being present. And I don't literally mean like, oh, he's in character and he doesn't break it. I mean like all the time. From the end of episode 94, if he is angry, the episode 95 start, he is angry. It's like there's no beat missing. He's just so, he's no longer Jared. He's Civ, Red Thistle, for all intents and purposes. And the way his character is so in tune to the world that Jeff has built, he's so in tune to the emotions and the world around him. I think especially with Shantytown and him kind of being the only one to say, whoa, this was a tragedy. This is bad. Like, I think Civ's character really grounds the seriousness of this show that I personally love a lot. And it just reminds us how real that things that are going on right now matter. And he really delivers that for me. But in general, he's just, the way he has his heart, his mind. Even when we went to Oldspotch, he had to know every little detail about the town. He just delivers all the time, and I really appreciate that about him, and this was no exception. Specifically, the thing I was so loving about their interaction between Civ and the thieves is the whole thing between Civ is his battle between Civ and Civrac. And it's very clear, and we can follow his interactions with it the whole time. And it was so apparent, even in their interactions with the thieves, how even that was coming out. You know, you could tell Civ was ready to kill these guys. You know, he had the knife, he poisoned Wax, he was ready to be cutthroat. But at the same time, he kept showing his humanity, the fact that Civ is still in there. He has a heart. He kept telling Wax, don't make me do this. We're the same. I don't want to do this. I don't want to hurt you. And I know I read into things a lot, but it was so wonderful how when him and Wax had that very 10-second interaction, and he was just like, drop the knife then. Like he put his trust and faith in Wax. And to me, that showed that he still has his faith in humanity, right? He still has that faith of being good. It may not be his overall persona right now, but that man is trying so hard and he wants to come out and like have faith in the world and be a good person. It's so there. And I just thought that was so lovely. What did you guys think?
Thank you, Failwaffle, for taking every word out of my mouth so I can just sit here and look cute. No, I mean, I was looking for a chance to jump in there because.
Sorry.
But then you go. Here's another point Kurt's going to talk about. Here's another point Kurt's going to say. I agree 100%. The layers that. Well, actually, let's just back up. Jeff and Jared, when they are together doing one-on-one improv RP, it's magic to watch. It truly is magic to watch. It's just a wonderful dance that they do, the giving and the taking, and it's just fantastic. I mean, the Chalmers, I mean, they've done so many amazing scenes together, and I'm so glad that we got to spend almost half of the episode exploring Civ and Civ's mindset. I mean, on the rundown, which was this past week, Jared actually kind of dissected what he thinks, and it was like, yeah, Jared, 100%. Like that is showing on the screen. Like when he uses his Civrek accent, when he uses his Red Thistle accent, there's a purpose there, and the notion of using an accent to express an inner conflict that's happening unseen by it is brilliant. Jared, bravo, fantastic work on that. I mean, Civ, when he was talking to Wax, it's like he was talking to his other self, his younger self, maybe his self that if he hadn't gone on a simple dungeon run, he'd be like Wax, or whatever. It's fantastic. And then Civ with Audric Lucerne. I mean, hey, let's heap more guilt on this character named Civ, and say that Vic is, your relationship with Vic is the reason why someone else innocently died, brutally, right? Yeah, let's heap more guilt on this guy's shoulder. It's just, there's so many layers going on with Civ in Turles, and it's like, this was a fantastic display. I loved it, every second of it.
Yeah, did nobody else connect with the fact that he's like, oh, deep dark secret, I'm the one who caused this death, and I don't want to talk about it, no one. Like, I don't want to talk about it. And everybody's like, yeah, but let's talk about it. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Then he just had to keep explaining it to everybody.
I know, right?
This is my guilt. This is my shame. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
We lay it out there.
Yeah.
What else did you think about it, Sarah? I kind of want your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, it's, gosh, I mean, one moment that I really just like, I think about is, it's a really small moment, but when he's just trying to win over the thieves, finding out that Wax is still mad at him, that they have this moment where he offers them blood wine, and they're like, oh, we don't know, like, is this okay? And the end of this, he's trying to, it's his last bottle of blood wine. He doesn't want to give it up. He's so attached to the alcohol, and he thinks about it. He can't do anything but throw them the last bit of his blood wine. Yeah. He throws them the bottle, and I'm like, wow, yeah, that just really struck me, because he just feels, I think, just the attachment to these. I guess, are they all Tabaxi? I guess I wasn't entirely sure.
No.
No. Okay. Well, they're all people like
they're all
him,
people he knows. He knows their backstory, basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, even like you said, even the small moments. I mean, that's a very small moment, that handing over the wine, but it hits, it lands really, really hard. So
Yeah, and it's like he's doing that consciously, right? Like he's made a point since day one, even before it was a problem. He's made a point since day one to be like, Sid always make sure he has his alcohol. Sid always make sure to have his. I think around Delta through, he was like, I'm running out. I gotta buy more. Like that's always been there. It's not like something you just pull out of nowhere. And to your point on the little things in that interaction too, like tensity and pullback, where he was like, come after me, I dare you, right? He got out his knives, and then a second later flat, he's like, do you like drink? Do you like koi? Do you like, it's just like he was, it's just like, do we relax? Do we like get our gut knives out? Should we be on edge? Like, I think that also is such a good display of just, in a way, how most unhinged he is, right? Mm-hmm. Because he can snap at you in 1 second and then like be your friend the next. Like he's not, you can tell he's not okay. And even that beautiful part was like, we killed a lot of people in that library, and I stare at you for an uncomfortably long second. Like, just his good job in a scene to pull in and pull out. It's just like, well, what's going to happen next?
It's fantastic drama, for sure.
Yes!
That natural tension that he brings to the scene.
Yes, and the whole time, in that scene, in the last scene interaction, you had no idea if it was going to end in a bloodbath or, like, them being best friends. We had no idea. And that is the definition of entertainment right there. Just from start to finish. And I know it technically wasn't this episode, but it really does speak to everything that we're saying about Civ. A very common theme for those who not just watch the Watch Party, but we've talked a lot about it in like the No Cast Zone and a little bit on the regular Discord channels. But like a lot of the fans are like waiting for accountability, like within the group. And Civ brought that, not only just with Bahima and her, I know you took that book, which was a great line for me, but like you were saying, he called Fesh out. We were talking a little bit about that off camera. He called Fesh out. Did you speak up? Did you help? Like, Civ is so for the common person. And let's be real, we don't see that in this adventure. I think that that's such a wonderful, easy thing to latch onto as an emotional viewer. And it was just like, where is the accountability? It's right here. It was just so wonderful. And I think you could tell Fesh was just like,
Yeah, I mean, he should feel, guilty a little bit. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So the title of this show on YouTube is called Digging Up the Past. And that's exactly what, I mean, like metaphorically and literally they're digging up the past, but it wasn't just the wax wonderful cameo type thing. There were so many other like long simmering things that kind of came up and paid off in this last episode. It's a fantastic title to the show. Fantastic. It is a good callback to a lot of things that have happened way back and kind of trailed through. So
yeah. And so let's I know we're probably going to go back and say more gold things about Civ for sure. But I do want to talk a little bit about the dream spell. I found it very entertaining. I think a little bit. I think for me the purpose of the dream kind of got muddled a little bit for me. But I want to hear your thoughts first, Sarah.
I mean, yeah, I think I kind of agree with you. I wasn't sure exactly what they were trying to get out of the dream going into it. Like, it seemed like this is the environment we're trying to create with the dream. Like, this is what we're trying to show her. We're trying to show her this battle happened and there were heroes, they used magic, but what are we trying to teach somebody in a dream in this situation was confusing to me. And that kind of made me think, like, maybe we're trying to solve too many problems with one solution.
Yes.
So that's been a lot of what I've been thinking about this week, and it kind of started with how they framed the dream, I guess. But there was, I mean, at first I was thinking there was not really any results of the dream, but the more we've kind of talked about it on the Discord and I've read things, there is maybe, I guess, some kind of hope that there could be some convincing of our why am I forgetting her name right now?
Persta.
Wow.
Persta.
Persta.
Struggle
Persta
today.
Samuels.
I know, I love her so much. How did I forget her name? Yeah, I mean, I think even stubborn people who love the law can be, you know, can be persuaded that there are flaws in it. And even if there's just a tinge of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of it seemed, because there was so much talk about potential ideas for the dream right before they actually did it, that I agree. I think it just got muddled. I think originally the scene of the monsters and the fighting in the battle was supposed to be like, look, you can't beat the demons without magic. I think that was the initial intent. But then halfway through it became, look, the heroes of Bingle are saving everybody, so you should pardon them.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it got muddled.
There's been a lot of conflating, not just on the Discord, but also kind of within the player characters, within the actual, characters in the show, the moratorium versus the heroes of Bingle are not evil. And then mixed in there is there were a lot of different goals in mind, and you're absolutely right. It was kind of muddled, and I don't blame it for that. I mean, because look, you do have many things to talk with Persta about, and straighten out. I mean, we didn't murder that person. Oh wait, no, but James did murder this person, but that's okay.
Yeah, the layers.
And then also there are these demons that you need to. There's just so many things to kind of address with her that it's, how could it not be anything but a little muddled, So yeah.
Well, I mean, I think just in general, like you said, even if they were to just one thing at a time.
Yeah. You have to do it that way.
There can be a logical flow. You just have to go through it logically.
Yeah. But with that said, though,
is this party a one thing at a time party? Not usually.
No. But we're working on it. But
it's a choice. It's fine.
I think the introduction of Persta, though, through that dream was wonderful. Yeah. I'm with you, Sarah. She is awesome. And Jeff does this wonderful thing. Jeff is similar to Jared. Jeff, too, when he plays his NPCs, his heart is just in it. I know this woman for like 5 seconds, seriously, but I genuinely like her. I really do. Like, he's painted, even through like dialogue and narrative, he's painted this beautiful character, and I'm eating her up. Like, I really like her. At first I was picturing her being Xena, but I think a few people convinced me it's more like Brienne of Tarth from Game of Thrones for sure. But like, she has so much life in her already, and I'm so excited for their interactions with each other.
I definitely have a feeling that like she's she's the predecessor to, or is that the right word? Yeah, she's the successor to Audric Lucerne, and I think there's a contrast to her and to him and her. I guess that he's was more of like from James's perspective, a villain, in that he kind of like had it out for him, was not like a good guy. I guess he did the moratorium because he was trying to like address this like murder that happened, but she is just kind of running with the law. She's sticking to what she knows, and she is just like faithful to like protecting the city, and has no like negativity, I guess, in her backstory yet.
Well, and that's another thing I find fascinating. And if we end up getting into pineapple time, pineapple it up. But I think that it's fascinating how we see that different perspective, like as fans, because I don't view her as bad either. But oh man, this party is ready to murder her if it goes the wrong way, right? Like, they really are.
Yeah.
Which in real life, if you were to walk into a bar and say, I need you to tell me everything you know, how many people are going to be like, sure, you know what I mean?
True.
Like they think they have I'm a hero badge. You got to do everything I say, and I feel that's part of it. I really do. Like they view that not Civ, but
Ron, this is for you, bud. I'm a hero badge in the store. Book it.
Right? Yeah, it's true though. Like I really do believe that. I think that's part of it. Again, not with Civ, because you can follow exactly why he has a vendetta against her, and he's definitely projecting for sure. But yeah, like with James, though, I don't know what Lily's thinking, but Behemoth, like it's very much like if you're not doing exactly what I want, you like Cho-Ron. They view Cho-Ron like such a nuisance when he was just a guy who wanted to find his family.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I mean,
But
I think Lily. Lily is kind of the glue of the party in that respect. I think because she does value all of Jeff's NPCs. Basically, there are a few that she doesn't. The halflings. There are a lot of different examples of her kind of saying, "Well, now let's just talk to this person. Let's just," and which is totally Bard-like, right? I mean, if she can on a even bad roll of 36 on a persuasion, right? And like, of course she's going to want to talk to people. And frankly, she should be doing a heck of a lot more talking when Persta is in the room, right?
I hope so,
because she might have that more empathetic. Kind of tact.
Yes.
Because you're right. Sometimes it is kind of, our way or the highway type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I see it anyway, and I can bullet point my patterns all the way through the show. I have a good, strong case, Sarah. You would be proud of me. But yeah, to kind of sum up my thoughts about the dream, I don't think it went as well as they were kind of expecting. And if it did get to Persta, which by the way, I loved how Jeff said, and then for her, it was turning into a nightmare. Because when something I think that showed for me that this poor woman has so much on her shoulders, and she's trying to do her best. And then like that moral conflict was starting to hit her, and then it did turn into a nightmare. I was
going to mention that about the dream is that it was a dream to James, but it turned into a nightmare for Persa. Because you're right, she was confronted with this notion of, well, maybe this thing that she seems so vehemently opposed, like to its core, to like the core of her magic is not something to be dealt with. And then, oh wait, magic actually did it. So that Jeff's last 3 or 4 tentpole NPCs have been fantastic, and why would I think this one's any different, right? I mean, so yeah.
Amen. He does brilliant. Yeah. So even though overall I feel like the dream didn't really land, the experience itself, and what a great way to introduce Persta. I thought it was a really enjoyable scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed that. And then there were a few things about the digging up Lucerne that were interesting. For the 10th time, Civ being just very organic, no magic, thinking with his brain, him being a guard distraction, and basically I thought it was funny.
Mind your business, please.
Being a jerk to you, Sarah. Just being an absolute jerk. And he was just, mind your business. None of your business. Get lost.
Well, you'll have to go around then, won't you? Amazing. Jared. Amazing.
Yeah. But it was that is such what a guard maybe who's 2 hours over his shift and overtime. Yeah. That's so how they act, right?
Yeah.
And it's just,
I got major mall cop at 10 p.m. vibes from him.
I got major. This is
kids
2
ask
hours
your parents about malls.
No. I got I'm a worker at the DMV, and my shift was over 2 hours ago. That's what I got. But he successfully, organically, without raising any eyes, got her to turn around, and it was great. It was a great way to solve the problem without magic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Practical, non-magical ways to solve our problems.
Yes, and going with the actual burial, there were a few things that I found interesting. One, James, I love you, buddy, but let's continue to work on those questions. I was laughing so hard when he caught himself. He caught himself.
He caught himself. He didn't last time. He caught himself.
I love James. I was laughing so
Good job,
hard.
James. I'm with you.
It was such a fun moment. It was fun. There was definitely one of those moments. Kudos to Jeff for just kind of letting him have it. He caught himself. But it was fun. I'm just saying, we give Morgan such a hard time about his question, and he's like, it was one time. It's more than that, buddy. But it was wonderful. It really was. I was smiling. It was so fun. But what are your guys' thoughts on Fahima wanting to use the body for blood magic?
Fahima. I mean, go, Sarah. It sounds like you've got some.
I mean, why this body? There's so many bodies. Like, this is like a very specific body in the story. It has been like mutilated.
That's just so
we just cast
of you to say.
Like Speak with the Dead. We've done so much to it already. Just let him be.
He's got murdered. His arms cut off.
I love that.
There's so many bodies.
I love that take. I did not expect that take. I just love the. Sure, Fahima, just not this body. Why this one? Oh god.
I feel hilarious, and I love it. My gut, which I don't know, but I think if I had to put some logic to it, I would say it's because, in theory, James, using the Speak of the Dead, could ask permission. Because she did. She said, ask him for permission.
Yeah. To her credit.
Which I'm with you, Sarah, is still weird. It's weird.
Boundaries.
But I think maybe that was her. By the way, just ask him if it's totally cool.
Just search his pockets, though. See if his wallet has the organ donor card in it.
Oh my god.
Do that instead. Ask for permission post-mortem.
But I will say,
cool,
my favorite part of that scene, I'm all about accountability with this party these days. I really am. We're in Act 2. It's about time. And James, standing his ground and saying, just no. No ifs, no explanations, just no. And you could tell she was kind of like, which Fahima's very used to getting what she wants. So she was so taken aback. And she was just like, no, we should talk about this. And James was just... I said, no, this body is, this is part of, like you said, Sarah, this is part of my past. This is a very specific someone. I said, no. And I loved that. And even then, she still was like, we'll talk about this later, right? Like, she still felt like she had a leg to stand on a little bit. But I really loved how James just put his foot down. It was wonderful.
And I mean, and I'll take the other side of the coin. I love that Fahima still kind of pressed a little bit on that because it's very her character of.
Oh yeah.
She is, boundaries and morals don't mean as much to her when there is knowledge on the other side of that boundary. And,
amen.
And also she's, got Genasi, traits of thinking that she's above it all anyway. So why can't I do this? James, what are you doing? So amazing interaction. That to me was a really awesome kind of little moment in that Speak with the Dead for sure.
Yeah. What were your thoughts on just that whole? Well, I know your thoughts, Sarah, but
it was just. I mean. Good job, James. Don't let her use that body. It was. I mean, there's just there's so many other bodies. I don't know what was she gonna do with that body.
Right. Well, hopefully we find out whether they
questions. That was my first question. Like, was it something specific about this body that she wanted to do with it?
Yeah.
Couldn't tell ya.
Very interesting.
But I hope it comes up. I hope it comes up, even just in conversation. Like, what was that about?
Well, if she wants to talk about it later.
She does. So hopefully they don't forget.
I'm staying on that scene for just one thing. I also thought Fahima, just digging into her mind a little bit, her reaction or her, dialogue, I guess, to the party after that scene made me, where she goes basically, okay, well, this guy didn't say, Joe Smith did it, so we need to do some investigating now. Gosh, how much time is this gonna take, you guys? Because we've got lots of things to do. And I love that little thing. I know, Jessica, you didn't really like that so much, but I love that because it's basically like her going like, her expectation was exactly Joe Smith did it, and instead of the thing that happened where it's like, you know, describing things instead. And that just made me think of how broken the D&D system would be, or the world around us would be, if we all cops had speak with the dead, so that so that's like they have their theories and whatever, and then it's like, well, dude, like Chuck knows how to speak with the dead. Let's bring in Chuck, and then he says the other thing, and then the detective's like, this sends the investigation into a whole new direction. You know, it's just like, I love this notion that would exist.
There's a wonderful book where people can speak to the dead to solve crimes. I'll tell you about later. But Sarah, did you have any thoughts on that specific line? I had a lot of them, but I would love for you to go first.
I mean, I think there's just, I think everybody's a little overwhelmed with the fact that there is a lot to do in Turles, and that that they feel like there's not enough time, but we've spent a lot of time in other places. So I guess, being comfortable with taking the time it needs to do things. But then again, there are also demons at the gates. So
there's
being conscious and aware.
There's an urgency. Yeah, there's definitely an urgency, for sure.
And I'm going to take the opposites. You're kind of in the middle, it sounds. I'm going to take the opposite side of the coin of Kurt. I didn't like that comment as much. And not that everything both of you said isn't true, because it's so true. And I know there's been a lot of talk of wanting them to focus more, right? But it's exactly that, Sarah. Now hold on here. One, again, you've spent so much time on other things. What makes the specific thing? Okay. This is actually important. And I think where it frustrated me is it was very much, as a group, they decided they were going to go to Turles and they were going to do A, B, and C. Like, their thought was very clear. There was no miscommunication. That wasn't part of their confusing planning. It was very clear what their goals were. So I found two things. I found it a little odd that, cool, we're starting the investigation we all agreed to do, and it was almost kind of naive, like, oh, you mean we weren't going to solve this in 3 seconds, so like, can we move on? And I felt that was whatever. But the second part of why it rubbed me the wrong way is, you guys know I'm all about the layers. I have good memory. I'm all about the quotes and the conversations. She just, in the last episode, was giving a speech to Civ about why it was so important to save these people. Like, Civ told her, I don't care. I'll do it for you, but I don't care. And she was like, no, this is why we should be here. This is why we need to do this. And this is important. So it felt kind of wonky to me that just, in theory, a couple minutes later, she's like, so why aren't we leaving? What's our deadline?
Yeah. And to me, that was, I had the same expectations. And to me, that was just like, that just must mean that Fahima thought it was going to be, he did it.
Moving on. Yeah. So,
moving on.
But a part of me just felt like, and again, I'm all up in Civ's emotions. I just felt that was a little disregarding what their conversation was saying. It was invalidating for the fact that this did mean something for Civ,
From something she just said to him. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, and that's where I was kind of like, huh? So it rubbed me a little but I do agree, it's still very much in Fahima's character. At the end of the day, she is all about what she wants to do in the moment, and the demon-infested city be damned.
She wants to go check on her basement zoo.
It's true. It's so true.
She wants to go check on all the animals in her basement. And
pretty much, The rat she threw under her
See if all of her neighbors are dead. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure she cares that much about her neighbors, though.
I'm not sure either. Yeah, Fahima.
Not really sure.
In her defense, though, as someone who basically can't do much of anything without magic, I know how she would feel then about being in this city where you can't do magic.
I disagree, because she's used magic since she died.
Jess, that's called a segue. Just take it.
Oh, okay.
In a city where you can't do magic, or can you?
Yeah, I mean,
should you?
Find out today at 5 p.m.
So yes, how has the party solved all of their problems since they got to Turles?
Yeah.
Scheming. Suggestion. What else have we got? I mean, it's a lot of scheming.
There's been a lot of
conjuring bread.
Conjuring bread, conjuring spells. So I just...
Yeah, the whole party, with the exception of Civ, has been glowing magic. They're like, it's like Turles is a rave to them. They've got all of these, glow lights. They got the sucker. They got the whole thing, because they're using magic at every possible moment. They don't seem to care fig about this moratorium on magic, which is a contrast to what Turles was in episode 13, where there was this looming. Meep almost died, right? I mean, our Meep almost got captured and had to fly away and all that stuff. So it's like that's not happening this time, and that's a little bummer.
Well, and 100%. I thank you for that. I disagree completely. I don't think Fahima is worried about magic at all for exactly the points that you listed. And I agree with you. Essentially, and then I said this on the last watch party, there's definitely a pattern of, I guess I'll reword it this time to be like the environment itself is not having as much of an influence in the story as it should. And for example, the two challenges that Turles inherently has is a ban on magic and they're wanted for murder. Like those are the two part of the storylines that they're facing going into Turles. I do think they're using one challenge to get rid of the other, and then that's just it, and everything is fantastic. And it doesn't feel. I agree. It doesn't feel like they're in Turles at all. Like if you go back to the original Turles.
No, honestly, I thought they were in the way they've been acting it. It's like they are either in Nightstone or in Shantytown, and they've for the most part been in neither. So.
Right. I mean, just in general, just some basic things. Meep could not just sit there, and we forgot about she even existed until 10 seconds ago, but she's been there. In fact, she's the size of a chicken. She's big. She can't hide in Fahima's hair this time.
But a city chicken. She walks on the ground.
Yeah.
So
she
it
is
makes
now.
Sense. What's this glow chicken?
But even that was literally the last couple minutes of this episode, not the whole time. Yeah. But yeah, it's just, I agree. It just doesn't, like I said, that layer of authentic risk, danger, with the exception of Civ. Yeah, it just doesn't feel, I don't feel the organic danger of the demons, of the ban on magic. I don't feel like they're even wanted for murder. They're just walking around.
Which is too bad, because that would turn another screw on the tension. So. And
I know a lot of people's, some people's pushback or other side of the coin to that is, but it's about the story and da-da-da-da-da. I would argue that these elements add to the story.
Yeah, I mean,
it's part of the story.
It is more than 50%, in my opinion, of why Turles is a place that they haven't gone back to yet. Is because they're wanted for murder, or and they can't hide in plain sight because of magic. Well, yeah.
What were you going to say, Sarah?
No, and I mean, for the thing I really hope that they would invest some time into in the last episode. I mean, James brought up that maybe we should, or maybe Lily brought up that they should look for the children to corroborate James's story, because about like the initial murder that started the moratorium. If there is any way, I mean, if the thing that is like, I mean, his original backstory part that he brought up, like took him, I don't know how many episodes it took him to bring that up, but like this guilt that has been weighing on his life for so long, that he is the source of the moratorium on magic. You can solve this problem by, you can lift the moratorium, you can release your guilt.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think there's opportunity there for expanding the story in a really nice way. But instead, we are diving into we don't want to be murderers as a party, but we're going to use magic to prove that we're not murderers, even though magic isn't legal.
Lesser of two, I mean, I understand the logic. It's certainly a lesser of two evils. But the question is it the lesser of two evils to the person who matters, which is Persta? Tune in next week to find out.
This Wednesday at 6 p.m.
Tomorrow, yeah.
I'm drafting a very crafty legal argument on behalf of James Quillis.
We know you are, and we're all so excited to see it for sure.
I was hoping for a preview of that, but okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I've been out of town all weekend, but
Insert
it's coming up
here. Just kidding.
Well, I also don't know like the laws of Turles and like the statutes, the case law. I don't know their legal history, but I'll just make something up.
You got it. Well, they are.
Yeah.
Go for it.
You've done a pantheon. Now, please create bylaws for the city of Turles. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep.
Make me a case book for Turles, the Turles magic laws, and also murder.
Yeah.
It's true. Yeah, and that's why segueing back to the main topic, I thought it was pretty ironic that Civ even pointed out right before the end of the episode when they were going to go in. Civ was even like, I'm the only one that doesn't have magic on me, but I don't want to go in. Like, I love how we like low-key threw that out there. And we know that Civ doesn't want to go in because he's been very open. He's going to just kill Persta inside it. Like, right? Like, his anger is there. So I get why he wanted to stay back. Now he kind of has... That's why I found it so interesting how they were like, take all of our magical stuff. Okay, but
you're still...
If they can't detect magic, how are they going to know your sword is magical?
Yeah.
So it's like their logic is halfway there, right? But can we just all agree this plan? This plan
I have
is...
so many questions. Do they have detect magic anymore?
I mean, Turles
It's been a hot debate.
Yeah.
It's been a hot debate. In theory, it's going to be very interesting to see. But yeah, I'm kind of channeling it all back into my overview final thoughts. Exactly, now that we've discussed it all in detail, yes, I stand by it. This was a solid, wonderful, amazing episode, and everybody offered a little bit here and there, and Civ and Jeff's just chemistry and heart, it was shown in this episode, and I really loved it. And it would be even... I would have given this a 9 episode if we just had that extra little layer of organic, tension. And I know Jeff. I know he's in Jeff we trust. I know the moratorium does have some overall story plot, and I know that. I it's coming. But yeah, just because of that, there should be so many organic, natural things happening as well. And I loved this episode. It's just, it had so much great potential to be a 9, maybe a 9.5, depending on how it really would have shaken out. But I really enjoyed this episode, and I'm so excited to see more of Civ. Even, which we didn't touch so much on Wax himself, but the humanizing, but also like you said, Kurt, your words are pretty good. Just the mirroring of those two characters was just so beautiful. And I hope I'm fine if we don't, but I'm hoping we get to see Wax just one more time. The fact they brought up the rubies, I've said it so many times. The original Turles episodes are some of my favorites, so it was such a wonderful callback.
Excellent.
It was, yeah, and it was so organically thrown in there.
Man, I was really disappointed when he first asked, oh, do you want to go meet Wax? Do you want to see Wax? And he was like, Civ really thought about it. He's like, man, it would be really special to go see Wax. And it's like, I can't do it. And we still got the payout. We still got to see Wax in an even better way, I think.
So good. It was so good. And he's such a fun character. I know a lot of people don't like the characters with the quirks. like Zanelka. I know it's very hot and cold about her like snarl and his little like woohoo. I love all of those characters. Whether
his little affectations, absolutely.
Yeah, like it just brings so much character and life to them. It doesn't even matter if I personally like it or not. I just love how they're all so different and fun and like kooky. I love it. I love it so much. Wax was so wonderful. I'm glad we got to see him again.
I love Wax, but my cat is personally very triggered by Zanelka. Like anytime Jeff does Zanelka's voice, my cat is like, "What's that? What's that?"
But it makes sense because it's a dog.
Yeah, that's probably
Think about it. I love Zanelka. I do. But yeah, overall, such a good episode. Do you guys ever, did we leave anything out? Do you guys have any final thoughts that you wanted to add?
I mean, I'll just say that, echoing once again, this was a Civ episode. It was, I love that this show it's 95 episodes, has had shows where it's a feature actor, this person or whatever, right? I mean, Uggo and Thorn, and when he was transitioning into a paladin, Lily with Bingle, and a bunch of times with the Whitebeard stuff, she was kind of playing central, emotional weight, and she was carrying, the scenes. Lily with, Fahima with all of her one-on-ones with the Ashen Mage when it was just Jeff and Fahima. James with the social guy. There are so many episodes where it just features one excellent, performance, and this was one of them. Mark it down. Digging in the past, excellent character episode, fantastic.
That was also Kurt's long-winded way of saying the one-on-one scenes are usually always brilliant. They really are. Yeah. Yeah.
That's true.
Sarah, final thoughts?
Oh my gosh, final thoughts. I was just really into everything you just said. I was like,
I know, right?
Yes to everything you just said. I mean, I really loved this episode.
Yeah.
I hope they have a really good plan of what to say to Persta. Yes. I really hope they don't all get arrested with no magic and no magical items.
Hope they're not waiting for your point-by-point legal argument.
Yeah. I'll get it together. It's fine. And I hope Civ knows how to use all the magical items because he'll help him out. And just a side note, I mean, Fesh and Torval have offered to do like all kinds of research for him, and they just can't come up with anything to ask them to look into. I mean, obviously, like, the old ones things and some other things that they've like looked up that they've been previously asked to do, but I guess maybe would really like to see some more use of our research NPCs while we have them, because Jeff's not going to let them take them along.
And he shouldn't. Yeah. More lore.
Yeah, more lore episodes. That'd be awesome. We're gonna get a lot. I get the feeling we're on that cusp of getting another lore bomb episode. Where things get revealed, and then
So
exciting.
We all obviously agree that this next interaction is going to be interesting, and we're all here for it one way or the other. It's super exciting, and we hope to see you guys on Wednesday. Thank you two for joining me. This was really fun. I hope you had a good time. I've had a very bad day, but I knew talking to you guys and talking about the show would put me in a better mood. And so I thank you guys. I love the show. I thank the cast. I thank everybody. I love this community. Thank you guys for joining me. And that being said, humankind, be both.